one of the most common New Year's resolutions, be better with money. But almost 50% of people break their resolutions by the end of January.
Yeah, one big reason for letting resolutions fall by the wayside is not having a plan to carry it out. In this morning, our good friend from the Retirement Education Foundation, Mike Masserant, is with us with some helpful tips. It is January. Start fresh.
I mean, I saw you talking earlier. Your gym goals, that's fantastic. And it's always common. Start on a Monday. Monday's it's a clean slate. Start on Mondays.
Yeah. And you could start thinking about a budget maybe on Monday. Sit down and put one together.
Let's start with the very basics, though, Michael. When we talk about financial literacy, as much as people maybe you don't want to look and budget, but you really have to, right?
You have to. It is so important. And really, the first place to start, and it kind of sounds overly simplistic, but really, how much is coming in? You'd be surprised to know a lot of people don't really know how much is coming in every single month. So what is your gross income pre-tax? What's your net income after tax? How much money's coming in? That's the first place to start.
Okay.
And then the first thing that's going out.
Is the net more important than the gross? Why do you need to know? Why is the gross important?
So gross is important just to have a sense of where am I at from a gross income perspective. But really, I mean, net income after taxes, what's showing up in the bank account every single, every paycheck.
Okay.
So you've got that.
Now, fixed expenses, we need to make sure that, so we have our mortgage, a car note, all these things that are not going to change on a whole lot on a monthly basis. Maybe groceries are pretty set typically. Those are important to make sure we tackle, to make sure that we know every single month what's coming in and this amount every single month, no matter what's going out. That's the fixed basis.
Right.
Including that debt, and this is January, and perhaps a lot of people have, high interest credit card debt from Christmas or what have you. How important is it to prioritize that debt?
For sure, especially to your point, coming after the holidays, people racked up some credit card debt. Now they're thinking, okay, now it's time to pay the piper. Got to get that paid off. Paying off that high interest credit card debt is really important. That can snowball quickly.
How do people do? Well, I guess we'll get into that later. So right now we're just starting with the basics. Yeah. Okay. So you're listing that on your. You're getting out a sheet of paper if you want, or I guess doing it on the computer.
Everyone's different. Some people are tech savvy. They love their apps and their online tools. You have Mint.com, there's Honeydew, Rocket Money. There's a lot of different examples you can use, or break out the pen and paper.
Give me a pen and paper.
I like a pen and paper too. Old school. So you're writing all this down in a column, how much you're bringing in, and then how much is going out is in a different column probably.
Exactly. And so once you get your fixed expenses out of the way, okay, how much now do I have left over to start tackling that debt and get that paid off as quickly as possible.
The one on the screen here I think is an important one, Michael, because we talk all the time about budgets, and I think so many people have it in their mind that when they make a budget, they can't spend. They can spend. This one, tickets for shows, dining out, video games, stuff like that. It is important to have a piece of that, right?
It is, and so that's what's really interesting is people always think about budgeting as a negative thing. It doesn't have to be a negative thing. Once we kind of budgeted out, okay, I have this much coming in, I've got that much going out, and now you've discovered how much you have left over, and you can set that up for spending on the fun stuff. And now you can spend on the fun stuff guilt-free because you know it was in your budget. If you're spending willy-nilly with no budget at all, maybe you are overspending, now you're feeling guilty.
Talk to me about these unplanned expenses.
So people, on average, have unplanned expenses every 3 to 4 years. This can be a health event, a car event, a hot water heater, the roof. Something happens, vet bills. If you got pets, vet bills, oh my gosh. So these things happen. And if someone thinks, I've got my budget, money coming in, money going out, and they're spending everything all month long and not saving for any emergencies, you got to have an emergency fund tucked away.
How much, though?
So there's a lot of rules of thumb on this. Typically, ideally, between 3 to 6 months of income, in case there's a work event, a health event, things of that nature.
Okay. All right, so you're getting this all written down, and then you're talking about, so included in your budget is how much you want to save eventually? So you
Ideally,
spend,
if we have credit card debt, get that knocked out. Once we have the credit card debt knocked out.
That should be your priority before you're even dealing with saving or investing.
Yeah, so you always want to get, if you're at a company with a 401k, you always want to get the match, at least get the 401k match. But once the credit card debt's knocked out, start increasing that 401k. Pay yourself before you can spend it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Especially with 401ks, 403bs, it's out of sight, out of mind. It's automatic. You're not going to see it. It's not up to you to set it aside. It's much easier that way.
Michael, question. I come from a family where my father, he was encouraging me to get in the 401k when I was working part-time at Taco Amigo. And it wasn't even an option. I was 16 years old. But anyways, that's been part of my mindset for a long time. But are people unaware of the benefit of the 401k at this point?
So it's becoming more and more mainstream.
Is it underutilized?
It is, if someone's not using it, it's underutilized. People should be saving into it. Now, thankfully, there have been a lot of steps to auto-enroll people, and that's moved the needle a ton. Because in the past, people might be working at an employer for 1, 5, 10 years, and on day one with their benefits package, they're like, I'll do that later, and then 10 years later, they never got back to it.
Right.
But now they're auto-enrolled with 3, 5, 10% up front to start with, and without even knowing it, they're saving to their 401k.
Tax-free money going into a retirement savings account.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. All right, let's continue our talk. We are working on our financial literacy, getting smarter this morning. So last hour we talked to financial instructor Michael Masserant from the Retirement Education Foundation about the importance of making a budget. So pencil, paper, app, however you want to do it. What's coming in, what's going out.
So we've got that piece of it. And now just, maybe the mental aspect of doing this, Michael. And in one of the ways to maybe stop crunching your budget so much is to make more money.
And that is, especially with inflation, things cost more. That's the fact of the matter. So we can only crunch expenses down so low. At some point, the easier outcome might be increasing your income. So let's talk to our bosses, find out, okay, how do I get a raise this year? What are you looking for me to do? Can I get a license? Can I get a certificate to increase my skills, increase my income? Because sometimes, and for some people this is often the case, increasing your income is easier than crunching down all the expenses. And if you increase your income, you can spend more on the fun stuff.
And maybe even you can have an extra job, we talk about DoorDash all the time.
Right.
If you've got high interest debt, maybe take that Uber job or Lyft job and use that money to knock down that debt.
For sure, absolutely. Those things, really, especially the high interest debt and jumpstarting the savings, it goes such a long way. I know we keep saying it, but it really is two of the biggest things someone can do for themselves.
Michael, let's talk about credit card debt, because I feel like that is something that just keeps people awake at night. And a lot of people, we know statistically, a lot of people are dealing with it.
$1 trillion worth of debt.
So you talk about snowball approach. What does that mean exactly?
So the two debt payoff strategies, the snowball approach and the avalanche approach. So snowball approach is if someone has, maybe if we have a couple different balances on a couple different credit cards, they're paying off all their debts every month, and they pay extra towards the smallest balance. And once the smallest balance is paid off, now we apply that same amount we were paying already to the next smallest balance, then the next smallest balance. Just because one is paid off, don't slow down the payments. Keep the payments rolling to get everything paid off. So the avalanche method's a little bit different. You take, regardless of the debt size, you take the highest interest amount and pay off the highest interest first, because that's your most expensive debt that you have outstanding. Now, there's a math side to this coin and a psychological side to this coin. From a math perspective, the avalanche method's better. Pay off your highest interest debt first. But for some people, getting the small wins of having the smaller credit card paid off, if that's easier to stick with, then stick with that one. It's fine. Whatever works best for you, go for it.
Is there, how do you coach people about stopping the habit of gaining credrit card debt?
Really, it comes down to a lot of tough love.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to go do things. I was actually, some friends of mine, we're considering the Rose Bowl. Michigan was in the Rose Bowl. We're all huge Michigan fans. It's the Rose Bowl. But we took a friend's trip back in August, and so all the friends said, you know what, we just can't swing this. And I was really proud of them, because it'd be really easy to justify, it's Michigan, it's the Rose Bowl, it's a trip of a lifetime. But instead we said, you know what, we just can't swing it.
It's exactly what we were just talking about in that first block too, with loud budgeting, being open and honest about where you are with your finances. But again, that goes to the psychological part of it. Do you have it in you to talk to your friends or your family about what you can and cannot do? And
really, there are two ways to tackle it. I'm a competitive person by nature, so it's kind of like me competing with myself. How close can I stick to my budget? And also, there's the very serious implications of this is the real world. If we start to rack up credit card debt and get in trouble, that has really long-term negative consequences.
Yeah, that one trip you'll be paying for it
for God knows how long.
Potentially years.
Yes.
It is a funny thing. The psychology of it is, my husband used to say when he walks through a store and doesn't buy anything, he feels so good.
Exactly.
Right? Goes home, doesn't have any extra stuff, doesn't spend any money. And me, when I go to the store, I feel good when I buy something.
Right.
So in evaluating that is
psychology
comes to the crux
huge.
of how we look at money.
Psychology is huge. Some people are just better savers by nature, whether it's an upbringing or whatever it is. Some people are better spenders. And just knowing yourself and knowing what's going to work for me is so important. And you mentioned, I heard you guys mention earlier, The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel.
Yeah.
He has a second book out called Same as Ever. Fantastic. Another
there
good
you
example.
Go.
Yeah,
You
I've
didn't
actually
read that one.
I've read some of that one, actually. Yeah, it is good. It just talks about our habits and how we're constantly moving on to the next. We want this suit so bad, we buy it, and then we're moving on to the next thing.
Right, and even talk about a car too. If you want a car in 2024, I just recently priced my car out. My payment, if I got a new car, if I got the same car that I drive now, my payment would double.
So these are the things that people face every single day. And so if we want that new car, what are we going to cut somewhere else?
Yeah.
It's got to be one thing coming in, one thing going out.
Yeah, it's incredible. One thing I did want to ask you about, for the people out there that work for themselves, you talked in the last segment about, employment sponsored 401k and things like that. What if you do work for yourself? A lot of people watching right now might be servers somewhere, might drive one of these, make deliveries or whatever. What should those people do when it comes to investing? As I'm getting a rap cue, I'm so sorry. I'm asking you this question, but where should those people start?
So it's a little tricky, but if you're a 1099 worker, there's a solo 401k, SEP IRA, or just a personal IRA, personal Roth IRA. Those are probably the easiest places to start. A personal IRA, personal Roth IRA. Start there.
Good stuff.
All right.
Great information. Retirement.
It's good. Yeah, say the website.
Retirementplanningedu.org.
Nailed it.
Retirementplanningedu.org.
And it's overwhelming. Just start with the budget. Start with one piece of paper and just
Starting
pen.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Exactly.